Hey everyone. All right, let me just check here, make sure that we are actually live. Yes, I'm live. All right, let me make sure nothing bleeds over there. Beautiful. That's a beautiful thing to know that I am live here. So I'm going to I'm going to see who is here, who is actually watching besides myself. Let's see. Okay. So we go here, we go here, we go here, and we'll go here. Let's turn the volume down. Beautiful. Okay. So, so I want to thank you all so much for those that are watching. Hold on, let's go ahead and start the recording. Hey everyone, Coach Trav, the accountability coach. And so I am going through, this is a live replay of a workshop that I did last week. It's called the follow through formula. Now, last week I was in a different place. Things were a bit, there was a little bit of a challenge there. So, but what I wanted to do though is I wanted to do really a live replay of this now that I'm back in my usual setting and I have access to things that I need, questions, answers, responses, things that I can look up online, things that I can look up and that I now have access to, then now I can operate in good standing. And I also want to do a deeper dive in some of these things because really, when it comes to this, it's about the follow through. You can have the excellent plans, you can have the graphics, all of the research in the world. You can execute. However, if you do not follow through, then it is all for nothing. So, regardless of whether you are a billionaire, millionaire, thousandaire, or dollaraire, that's not even a term, but hey, I'll patent it later. So, this is for you. So, if you know somebody that could use this, be sure that you are checking them out online, that you are sharing this. Go ahead and share this. If you're watching this live, hit hashtag live. If you're watching this on replay, put hashtag replay. All right. So, that way, when you're putting that in, I know how to get back to you. If you have any questions or comments or things along those lines, I want to be sure that I'm responding to you in the most timely manner. So let us jump in. So what I'm going to do is let me go ahead and minimize my screens, make sure that I'm on the right one, and let's go ahead and share. Let's see, let's put over here and let's do it just like that. Now that we're sharing the screen, let me go ahead and run the presentation. Oh, nope, that's not it. Hold on. Let me try one more time. Let's minimize this and let's go back to the PowerPoint. All right. So we're going to do this one more time. Slideshow. And boom. Wonderful. All right. Let me just check here, making sure that you're able to see all the things that you need. And so now I know, FYI, if you learn anything from me, be sure that you practice, prepare all those good things. So when it comes time for your workshop, your webinar, your presentation, everything will be good. All right, so let's jump on in here. So the follow through workshop, what we're going to do is I'll be diving into something that may be driving you crazy. The question is this, is why do some people that you know, whether you've known them for a small amount of time or forever, why do they seem to finish everything they start while you're stuck with a collection of unfinished projects, unfinished hopes, dreams, plans, things along those lines? So, if you're tired of being a starter instead of a finisher, this workshop will change everything for you. So, let's click on here. All right. So let's start by talking about two types of people you definitely know. You are familiar with these people, you've known them for a extremely long amount of time. So let's jump in. So let's talk about this. You got person A. Now, person A says that they're going to read 12 books this year, and somehow they actually do it. Yes, it actually gets completed. So They commit to working out 3 times a week and they never miss. They commit to journaling every day and they do all those things. They start a side project and they actually launch it. That's that person. That's person A. Now, person B, well, person B, they get excited. They buy books. They sign up for gym. They start projects. They purchase courses. They have memberships there, and then life happens. The books sit unfinished. The gym membership goes unused. The projects get forgotten. The courses just pile up. The other memberships that are just paying for them and not really utilizing them. So the question is, which type are you? Are you type A or type B? Put an A or B in the chat, whichever one you are. Which person are you right now? So So here's why being person B hurts so much. This is what we call the real cost of never finishing. First, you lose confidence in your own word, meaning that if you can't trust yourself to follow through, who can you really trust? If you can't rely on what you say, then you become to be at a loss. Right. So, second, your someday I'll finish this list keeps growing while your actually completed list stays embarrassingly empty. And I've said this before, someday is not a day on that calendar. It's not. So that list grows and grows and grows. Third, you start believing that you're just not a finisher. That becomes part of your identity. You relate to that. That is something you as familiar, as uncomfortable as it's actually comfortable. You get comfortable in that guilt, in that wallowing in that just not a finisher pool. So that, as it says, that becomes part of your identity. And what happens is also finally you waste time and you waste money on courses, on books, on programs that you never complete. Does it sound familiar? Yeah, it should. So this is the cost of staying stuck. So what happens if nothing changes? Well, that's predictable. And so here's the prediction. Nothing changes. Here's your future. One, you'll still have the same unfinished projects month after month, year after year. Plus, you'll have a few new ones that you'll start and abandon. Now, your potential will remain just that, potential. It's never realized, never actualized. So that's what potential is. And another thing that's aggravating is that you'll watch other people achieve the exact things that you keep starting and never finishing. And really, what you'll do is you'll carry around this heavy weight of knowing you could do more, be more, and achieve more, but somehow, some way, you just don't. So this isn't, and I want to let you know that now, this isn't just my observation, all right? Science backs this up. And so it's not just this is the research. So here's what the research reveals. Research shows that only 8% of people actually achieve their goals. And so that's not a typo. That's not a, there shouldn't be a one or a two or nine in front of that. 8% actually achieve their goals, which means that 92% of people don't. The average person abandons new behaviors after just 18 days. And so understand that after 18 days old, that's less than a month. That's less than the 21 days myth that's out there, you know. But here's something that's powerful. People who write down their goals are 42% more likely to achieve them. So the difference between finishers and starters isn't willpower, it isn't motivation, it's strategy. That's what this is, strategy. So let's break this down, the follow-through problem, we're going to break it into what we call three specific killers, right? The follow-through killers. So killer number one is that you rely on motivation instead of system. Motivation comes and goes. It's in and out. It is unreliable. But systems work regardless of how you feel. Follow-through killer number two, you ignore the predictable quit points because there are specific moments when everyone wants to quit, but most people don't prepare for them. And killer number three, you plan for the best self, not your real self. So key. You design your approach assuming you'll always be motivated, energetic, focused, at your best. Now, here's the solution. For killer number one, the one that says you rely on motivation instead of systems, you need to build systems and not rely on motivation. So how do you do that? First, what you do is you create specific triggers that automatically start your behavior. See, when this happens, I'll do that. When X happens, I'll do Y. Boom. And so now you have a system. It's not something you think about, it's something that happens automatic. Second, you design your environment to make follow through easier than giving up. Change your surroundings, change the music, change the sound. So you change your environment so that the right action becomes an automatic action. That is so key. The right action becomes an automatic action. Okay, that's important. Now, the third thing you do is you focus on the next action, not the entire overwhelming project, not this big, huge mass. What you do is you focus on the next action. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the next step. Now, for killer number two, what happens is that's the one where it says you ignore the predictable quit moments. You want to prepare for them. It is going to happen. So what you want to do is first you identify your personal quit triggers. Is it when you're busy? Is it when you're stressed? Is it when you hit plateau? Is it when you don't have enough sleep? Is it when you're dehydrated? What is that quit? Second, you create if-then plans for those difficult moments. So if I feel like quitting, then I'll do this specific thing. That's your if-then. Now, third thing is you build momentum markers to track your progress. See, what happens is small wins, they create the fuel to keep going when motivation runs out. So you want to think about this. For killer number three, you need to plan for reality, not fantasy. Meaning that a lot of times people will plan for your best self. And what's your best self? Oh, your best self just got 8 hours of sleep, but it felt like 12. They they woke up rejuvenated, no pains, no issues, nothing there. The alarm went off on time. They were able to get right out of bed, have a moment to pause. It was just quiet around them, or they were in just a beautiful state. They woke up in bliss. And so let me wait. How many times have you woken up just in that bliss? Yeah, go ahead. I'm just checking the comments to see how many people have done that. Then so many. Okay, so many. Yeah, no comments. So what do you do? One, you assume you're gonna have low energy days. Assume that. A low energy that, it's gonna either low energy, busy, there's gonna be unmotivated days because you will. That's just going to be a fact. What you do is second, you create the minimum viable action for those bad days. What's the smallest thing you could do to maintain momentum, to pick up that speed? Third, build flexibility into your follow-through systems. Rigid plans break, but flexible systems bend and survive. That's a key thing. Make a note of that. So now here's your follow-through formula you can start using today. So you pick one thing you want to finish and ask yourself. And you ask yourself these three questions. What specific trigger will start my next action? What will you do? What will I do when I want to quit? What will you do when you want to quit? Because you will want to quit. Third, what's your minimum viable action for bad days when you have no energy? Now, the important thing to do is to notice this. Don't start working on anything until you have clear, specific answers to all three questions, regardless of how long it takes. have a question for that. And this is when you pick those one things, not three things. And when I say pick one thing doesn't mean it doesn't I'm not saying pick one thing that says, okay, my one thing is I know before I was working for somebody and I was making 5,000 a month. Now I'm going to, since now that I've quit that job, I'm going to now make 50,000 a month. You've got to understand, okay, that's not it. You've got to be sure that the systems that you create are real and they're based on your real self and they are a next logical step. So you don't want to start working until you answer these questions. Once you have clear, specific questions, then you can move forward. So most programs out there will tell you that you need to stay motivated or just push through when it gets hard. But understand this, I've been studying finishers for more than barely like 2 decades. And one of the things I've learned something different is that the people who consistently follow through don't have more motivation or willpower than you. They just have better systems that work with human nature instead of fighting it. Because understand this, systems beat willpower every single time, every day of the week, and twice on Sundays. So after working with dozens of people over the past decade, the past couple of decades, I've seen many excuses. I've heard nearly every quit point, every pattern that stops people from following through. What I love to do is help you design a personalized follow-through program that works for your specific situation, your unique challenges, and your real life. And it's not something that's idolized. It's something that's real. This isn't generic advice. This is something that's specific to your situation. So in our follow-through strategy section, what happens is this. We'll identify your specific quick triggers so you can prepare for them instead of being blindsided. What we'll do is we'll design reality-based systems that work with your actual schedule and energy levels, not some fantasy version, and we'll create your personal formula for finishing what matters most to you. In our follow through strategy system, what we'll do is, and we create this personal pattern. It's designed, and what we'll do is we'll build accountability that actually works for your personality. So here's what I know about you because you're actually watching this is that you have ideas worth completing and goals worth achieving. You also have projects worth finishing. The only thing standing between you becoming a consistent finisher is having the right formula. And you absolutely deserve to be someone who does what they say they'll do. Someone others look at and think, how did they get so much done? So here's what we covered tonight. We talked about the real cost of being someone who never finishes anything. We identified the three fall-through killers that stop most people, which is motivation reliance, ignoring quit points, and unrealistic planning. We gave you a three-part formula that finishers use, and I gave you one action step. Answer three specific questions before starting working on anything new. So notice is that Q4 is here. I have limited time on my calendar because there's going to be a lot that I'm doing. I'll be taking on private clients and group members, group coaching members. So while I do have some dedicated time on my calendar to work with people who are serious about becoming finishers, there aren't many spots available. And what happens is they tend to fill up quickly after these workshops. So spots can fill up. So what I want to do is I'm going to put the link in the chat. If you want a spot on my calendar so we can have that conversation, I'm putting the link in the chat here. Go to talkwithtrevor.com. And of course, let me just go ahead and put the link in so that you know. So that's a link you can just click on. Here we go. That's better. All right. One of the best things is that now that I have time on this calendar and you've attended this, you can go and attend this. So stop starting, stop finishing. If you're ready to transform from someone who starts everything into someone who actually finishes what matters to them, grab one of these strategy system spots right now. See, your future is waiting for you to become the person who completes them. So that's one of the key things. All right. Now, this is the follow. This is you. making sure that you become one of those persons. Grab one of those spots. Go to talkwithtrevor.com, fill out the formula, fill out the form, pick a spot on there. If there isn't a spot that locks in with your calendar, pick a spot. I'll reach back out, and then you can or send me a private message saying I can't find a spot on there. I will open up something for you. The important thing is get on my calendar so that we can be sure you have a follow-up strategy for your situation. All right. So I want to thank you so much for watching. I appreciate this, and I will see you all